Well, hello and welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els. It's a pleasure to have you locked on to Conversation with Dr. Els, and it's a beautiful day streaming live from the beautiful island of Barbados. And we thank God that you are with us as usual on our second conversation for the new year. And I want to encourage you, find your friends, find your family, let them know Conversations with Dr. Els is on. And we are looking forward to have a great conversation with you. We're looking forward for a good time today. So I want you to just call up your friends. I want you to call up your family. I want you to call all and say, hey, Conversations with Dr. Els is on. We are live and alive. And like I promised you, for this new year, we are expanding. We are on not only on our Facebook Live, but we are on Caribbean Gospel Jam. So those of you watching us on Caribbean Gospel Jam, it's great to have you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Oh, this is a beautiful day. This is a beautiful time. Blessings on all of you. All right, we thank you. Just want to let you know Conversations with Dr. Els will continue to stream live on Caribbean Gospel Jam Radio Facebook page, on my Facebook page, and we have some great things in store for you as we talk together for this year. Remember, this is a conversation. We do have you sharing with us in this conversation, in these conversations as we go through the year. And we are looking forward for exciting times. So let me say hi to you. And again, welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els for January 2022. It is a beautiful day and God is good. Last week we started to talk about our plans and our goals for the new year. And we're continuing to talk about that today. As usual, we take time to shout out our friends, those who are part of this conversation. So let me say hi, Carla, locking on from Canada. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els, and a Happy New Year to you, Veronica, there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Avanel right here in the island of Barbados. Great having you locked on to Conversation. Commander Kane. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And so we are glad to have all of you as usual when you are locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. We love you. So it's great to have you. Shanda Andrew Slocum, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els also out there in Grenada. It's really wonderful to have you. And guys, like I said, it is a conversation where we are all engaged and where we share with each other. So share this broadcast, let people know this conversation is on live and alive, and we are happy. Again, I just want to let you know, and you will hear me saying this from time to time because this is a new avenue. We are on Caribbean Gospel Jam, and so you can look up Caribbean Gospel Jam, www Caribbean Gospel Jam, and you can join us there and you can share this conversation. All right, so we are talking about our goals and our plans and such for the new year. And last week, some of you said that for the new year, you want to get closer to God. Some of you said that for the new year, you want to finish writing your book. You get a number of things that you want to do. And we talked about making resolutions, something that it seems as though people are not doing anymore because they got tired of writing resolutions. They got tired of planning for a year and things never happen. For example, especially last year, 2020, at the end of 2019, 2020, we many people would have made plans and COVID stopped many of the plans. 2021, we felt that it would have been better and we made plans, but COVID stopped the plan. We are in 2022 and we are hoping. The Bible says many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is purpose that prevail. Therefore, it is still important that you plan. It's still important that you dream. It's still important that you set goals. All right. And so, as you set goals, you want to be able to follow through on your goals. And this is the aspect of the conversation today that we want to deal with. We want to deal with how do we follow through on the plans that we made. Because some of you said last week that the challenge is being able to accomplish those plans or being able to follow through. For example, we do have people who plan to be on go to the gym and have a better physique, exercise. You have people who plan to have great diets and such like that, and they start early in the year, but they never finish, right? They started early, but they never finish. And so there are so many things that come in the way that causes people not to finish their dreams and their plans in a year. And so persons get tired and they stop planning, they stop dreaming. But here is what Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 9 tells us. Take heed and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. Take heed and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. And so in making resolutions, you have to be able to follow through on your resolution. And I want to share a few things. I want to begin to share a few things that would help you to follow through on your resolutions. All right. And we want to look at practical ways. And again, when we talk about this in our conversation, we know that you have great ideas. Some of you are able to follow through. And we use, if we use cricket for example, when a person is batting, one of the important thing that is said is that you need to be able to follow through. All right. So when you make a stroke, when you make a stroke, you have to be able to follow through. All right. And that will help you. That will help you to finish. That will help you to have a good, shot if you follow through. And same here with life. If you are making plans, you need to be able to follow through on your plans. And it is not always easy because life happens, okay? Life happens and we plan and we get busy. We create rules, we do things and we get busy. And so we need to be able to follow through on our plans. So, how are we going to be able to follow through? These are some of the things that we want to talk about. And again, remember, you can share in our conversation. I just want to take the time off to say hi to one of our constant listener or fam conversations with Dr. L's family, Pastor Gibson. Great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. And I know you have great things that you can share with us in order to help folks to follow through. All right. So as many of us, we wear with cricket, and so we know that we can follow through, and therefore we need to have a well established pattern of living. All right, so one of the first things that I want to share with you, and we're going to get even practical as we go through this. One of the first things I want to say to you, if you are going to realize your dreams and your goals and your plans for the new year, or the resolutions that you made, you must be intentional. Come on, just tell your friend, just write on the comment, be intentional. All right, I will be intentional. All right, and so let me say hi to Deswin. Great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. Good afternoon to you. Yeah, there in St. Lucia. Great having you guys locked on. So, very important, you must be intentional. You can't plan, or you can't decide, I want to go to the gym this year and I want to lose some pounds, or I want to diet, and then you sit down and you do nothing about it. You have to be intentional. So you plan. Again, we go back to what the Bible says: many are the plans in a man's heart. So it is important that you plan, okay? So you must have a well established pattern of living. You must be intentional in setting your goals. You must be intentional in following through with your goals, all right? And okay, I'm glad I'm speaking to some of you. I'm speaking with some of you. Remember, this is a conversation where we all share. Okay, so amidst the busy schedule that we will have, and I'm telling you, many of us, many of you here on the live, many of you who are here with me on conversations with Dr. Els week after week, we are quite busy. And one person said, if you want to get something done, give it to someone who's busy. All right. And so we know life happens. We know things happen. And we go through life being busy. We do a lot of things. Amidst our busy schedule, though, we have to be constantly juggling relationships, right? And we are juggling responsibilities. So we have those who are wives or husbands. You have to take care of your spouse. Those who have children, you have to take care of the children. So you have to juggle those relationships. Your family relationship, your relationship with your wife or your husband, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with God, your relationship with your children. And then we do have some who are pastors, your relationship with the church or teachers, your relationship with your job and such like that. Okay. So it's very important that we be intentional so that you don't juggle and then you lose one partner or something that is quite important. So, for example, if you're juggling relationship, you don't want to lose your spouse in juggling your relationship. So let me just pause and say hi to Ricardo Watson. Great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. As usual, it's really great to have you guys locked on. Okay, but yes, as the comment says, seriously, there's a lot on the plate. There's a lot that people have, and we have to be able to work those things out, because if you must achieve anything in life, the truth is, in this world, if you must achieve anything significant, you have to be able to do certain things. You have to be able to push forward because life don't wait on any of us. So here is the first rule to remember. If we're going to follow through with, and notice I'm giving you the sign of cricket. If you must follow through with your goals, you must be intentional. Okay, let me pause again and say hi, as we usually do here on Conversations with Dr. Els. We're glad that you're here. To my brother Evan, right there in New Jersey, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Here's the question: is it possible to not lose anything in the juggling? Is it possible to not lose anything in the juggling? Yes, it is possible not to lose anything, but it also depends on what you are juggling. Because when remember we are talking about planning, we are talking about making goals and dreams and such like that. If your goals, and many of you would hear this before, or many of you would have learned this or seen this somewhere, if you are planning and your planning isn't smart, then you are going to overextend yourself and you will lose some things there. So being intentional, and that brings us to another thing that we need to do in order to follow through on our goals. We must make sure that our goals and our plans are smart, which is specific, which is measurable, attainable, reachable, or time bound. All right, so we have to make sure that this is what we do. Okay, again, I pause and I say hi to my adopted daughter there, all the way in South Africa. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Daniel, great having you locked on, sir, to Conversations with Dr. Els. And it's great to have you guys. So we are talking about that. And I want you to share on our conversation, share on our lives some of the things that you think we need to do to be able to follow through. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic. And I think that's the thing I said, reachable, but realistic and time bound. And so, if your plans are realistic, then in juggling, you will not lose anything in juggling. Sometimes you have setback, and you've got to understand that you have setbacks, and you can just come back from those setbacks. All right, so you don't necessarily have to lose anything. You can just come back from that. Now, so being realistic, or being practical, when we understand that you must be intentional because you do not want your relationships to suffer. Okay, but there are many people who aren't as deliberate with their development, with their goals, with their dreams as others are. Right, and so the other practical thing that you need to do, remember we said you must be intentional, your goals must be smart, and thirdly, you must be able to prioritize. You see, priority management is important. It must be at work if you are going to finish what you started. Okay, so here's another comment. I think one of the things is that people are not realistic. Okay, and that is true. People want to do great things in a short space of time. And for example, I said that last week. You want to achieve something, and you believe that, hey, I can start today, and like a magic wand, it will happen tomorrow. It is better to have 1% growth consistently than to jump forward 10 or 15%, and then you realize that you fall back, and by the end of the period you haven't gotten anywhere. but consistency is important. Sometimes we say faith as an excuse for lack of wisdom. Again, as commented here, and that is important. There's I usually say there's a thin line between faith and foolishness. Okay, we want to do things and we say we have faith and we want to push forward. Okay, and we say, hey, I'm gonna get this done by faith. But remember, the Bible says that faith and works go hand in hand. Show me your faith by your works. So what do you do to achieve what you believe? And the truth is, we're going back to the aspect of not being realistic. So you want to lose, let's say, 10 pounds in 2 days. All right, you want to lose 10 pounds in 2 days, or let's be more unrealistic, you want to lose 30 pounds in 2 days, right? And you believe that you're going to do this, but you sit at home, okay, and you get up in the morning to go exercise. As a matter of fact, you turn on your alarm clock because you want to go and exercise, okay? And when the alarm comes on, you roll over and you turn it off, and you do that every day. How do you expect that you're going to lose those 30 pounds in 2 days if you're not doing anything, if you're not being intentional? So that is unrealistic. And so you need to have realistic goal. And yes, also, as we see, time management is so important to achieve our goals. And that's what we're talking about, priority management. And that comes in with time management. If you have priorities, you are going to be able to manage your time. You are going to be able to show that, hey, we are managing our time. We want to get this done. We want to get this done in a certain time, and therefore I can't do everything. I can't do any and everything. All right. Let me say hi again to Camilla. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. It's good to have you guys. Good to have you guys locked on. So we are talking about following through. We are talking about being realistic. We are talking about having your dreams and your goals. And one person last week said they want to finish writing their book this year. Okay, and the challenge is that they're not able to follow through. And so we are saying, if you want to be able to follow through on your plans, you must be intentional. You must decide, I am going to do this. You must also have priorities, so there must be priority management, and you must be realistic. Your goals must be smart. Okay, because what happened? We wind up sometimes scattered. Our schedule is full, and it really does not reflect our purpose and our priorities. So we have a whole lot to do. Okay, from morning to night, our schedule is full. We are pushing forward. We are doing so many things, but we are not doing the important things. We are not doing the things that we need to do. So we need to prioritize. So it comes that we are scattered, we are here, there, and everywhere. And then it means that we are not able to get what we need done. We are not able to get them done. And so it is important that if we are to realize our goals, then we must be intentional. Then we must be able to follow through on our goals and have things done. We must be able to prioritize. Okay, so we're talking about that. Also, it's important that we work through, because our lives may be all over the place, and we don't need that. I want to pause again and just say hi to my brother from another mother, all the way there in Egypt. my brother Mido. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And as I'm just saying hi to my people, as I'm saying hi to my friend, I want to also let you know, those of you who came on a little late, that Conversations with Dr. Els is also on Caribbean Gospel Jam. So you can go to Caribbean Gospel Jam and you would see our conversation. You can go to their Facebook page. This is an internet radio station. You can get there. And I want to just shout out my brother, Pastor Tito Paul, for making this possible. Okay, for Caribbean Gospel Jam. Pastor Paul, it's really great having you, and thank you for making possible Conversations with Dr. Els on Caribbean Gospel Jam. Okay, so we're talking about this, and I'm saying that sometimes our lives are scattered. Sometimes we are hurried. You know, there used to be a saying, in those of you in St. Vincent, you will know this. I don't know if I've ever heard it anywhere else, but you can tell me, those of you who are on this conversation. There was a saying that hurry bird don't build good nests. Hurry bird don't build good nests. And the truth is, many times our lives, we are hurried. We are busier than we want to be, but don't know what to change. And that is a challenge. If you want to be able to follow through on your plans, you must know. And we get into somewhere, we're going to talk about some of practical things that you can do. But this is what happens to many people, why they are not able to follow through, why they're not able to bring things to completion. Okay? They're hurried, they're busy, and they don't know what to change. So you have to be intentional. Remember, we said that. Okay, we need to evaluate as we move along, and very important, we need to evaluate as we move along. Sometimes by evaluation, we will see the need to readjust our plan. Okay, evaluation in everything is important, and that is so true. And we need to, and if we talk about evaluation, sometimes we need to have an outside perspective. We need to have someone to evaluate. I've done a training, I've done a certification in church consultancy. And because of doing that, I am able to see certain things that I was not able to see. And some of the things that I did, I brought in some people. Let me talk about pastoring this church, right? I brought in some people, and they saw some things that I did not see because I am inside. I am in the mix of things, and I'm seeing it from an inside perspective. All right. But the person who saw it from an outside perspective. We have something that I do call a secret guest survey, right? Where I will bring in a secret guest, or send a secret guest to a church. I will give them a form that they will fill out, some questions that they will answer. And when they come back and I show what the results, when I give the results to the pastor would not believe that. But what I'm saying is that in evaluation, you sometimes need an outside perspective, because we can be biased with ourselves. Well, I've done well. I know I didn't get there, but I think I've done my best. And many times you really did not do your best to get there. Okay, but you know that, hey, we need to move on, we need to have a better way. So sometimes we are scattered, sometimes we are hurried, and sometimes in terms of evaluation, we are being reactive. Okay, so it seems like we're never in charge, always responding to demands, always going and responding. So it seems like we are not intentional. We are not guiding our life. But what we're doing, we're always responding to demand here. We are responding to demand there. And so remember we are saying that we must be intentional. And what happens when we are scattered, when we are hurried, when we are being reactive? It comes to the place where we are exhausted, and before the year is out, we are burnt out, and we are not able to fulfill these plans. So we end the day tired. We end the day weary. We end the day being discouraged and unsure of what we've done or how we've spent it, or if at all we spent it well. You understand? So you have that happen, and we're saying that in 2022 and beyond, you must evaluate, you must be intentional, you must be practical. So that which you plan to do, hey, you've got to find practical steps in making sure that it is done. A lot of times, just reading again your great comments, and so a lot of times we say we have done our best, but against what measure? Especially for church. We because we measure ourselves against people or against another entity. And the truth is, if you measure yourself against people, you oftentimes, to make you feel good, you oftentimes will measure yourself against someone who is not at the level that you are at. And so you feel good that, hey, well, at least I've done better than this person. Or at least, I am not as bad as this person. Or I am not as bad as this other church. We can use that example. Okay. And so when we measure ourselves against that, it is hard. So there must be certain things that we can measure ourselves against, and it's very important that we have those measuring sticks, or that we can come up to, because if we are to be intentional, if we are going to climb, if we're going to reach this height, we can't focus on somebody else not reaching it. We have to be intentional. We have to be great in reaching that. So elevation is said here. Elevation is extremely important for us to move forward with our evaluation. Sorry, is important for us moving forward with our goals. And so that's one of the things we are saying. We must evaluate. I don't pause and say hi to Pastor Danley. Great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. Andrea, great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. It's great having you guys here. We are talking about being able to follow through. And let me go back to the illustration that I've made at the start. We're talking about using cricket as an illustration. And we're saying that if you're making a good shot, very important that you follow through on your shot. And in following through on that shot, one of the things that you must do is keep your eyes, right? Keep your eyes on the shot. Keep your eyes on the ball. So you're going forward and you're not being distracted, because one of the things that keeps us from being able to fulfill our goal is distraction. And here on this conversation, we're talking about social issues. We're talking especially about relationship and family issues. And as we go forward this year, we are going to spend time pushing these issues and helping you walking through your relationship and your family life issues and your social issues. And so we must understand that if we are to set our goal, as we were talking about this year, if we are setting goals, if we must finish our goal, if we must be able to follow through, we must be intentional, we must prioritize, we must be able to manage those things that are priority in our lives. We must be able to evaluate as we go along the way and readjust. We must understand that our goals must, our dreams, it must be smart, okay? So that we are intentional, we are specific, it must be measurable, it must be attainable, it must be realistic and time bound. So if you have any goals or any plans for this year, I want you to make sure that you have a time period in which you want to fulfill those things, and let's move consistently. Like I said last week, we want to be able to work with each other, helping each other. And so you can reach out to me. You can reach out to anyone else on this conversation that share. We have great wisdom here in our conversations. And so we want to encourage you to reach out. We have our conversations with Dr. L's Facebook group. Join the group. Tell somebody about the conversation as we build each other and as we move forward. And as I bring this conversation to a close for today, there is so much more that we can say. As I bring this conversation to a close, I want to remind you that Conversations with Dr. Els is on Caribbean Gospel Jam. I just want to say hi, though. Just see some folks just joining me. Merlin, great having you locked on. Omenta, great having you locked on. Happy New Year to all of you who I haven't seen last week on our conversation. But I'm just letting you know that Conversations with Dr. Els is on Caribbean Gospel Jam, and we are looking for greater things. And you can reach out to me and let me know what you think. Let me know how you can be of assistance. I also want to say to you, coming up, we are going to have a seminar with a biblical Egyptologist, which we are going to be able to share with you some great insights, biblical insights, and great understanding from the land of Egypt. Those of you, you would know that I was in Egypt last month, and there was so much great things, and I think that so much things to learn that we want to have our biblical Egyptologist, my brother Mido. He's going to share with you. So look forward for that seminar, and I will give you more information as we finish our plans. There will be, I could let you know, there will be a small contribution for that seminar, but we will let you know. Nothing that will break your pocket. But I look forward for you guys to joining me on that conversation and on that seminar. Great things happening, and I will let you know more. Those of you who want to join me, the year has started, and we will be joining to Israel, God's willing, in December. Okay, so you can join me as we journey to Israel, God's willing, in December this year. And if you need more information, you can message me. I'm going to put some information in our Facebook group. On my website, you can check out my website, www.drels.org. So www.drels.org. So, guys, it's really been great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Good afternoon, my neighbor Anka. Great having you locked on. So, from wherever you are, South Africa, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent, Trinidad and Tobago, England, the USA, it was great having you locked on to Conversation with Dr. Els, and of course, Barbados. Okay, right? I we're going to be having great times together. I look forward to having some of you on my on this conversation. And so remember, whatever you do today, again, remember, add value to somebody's life. Somebody need to hear from you. Somebody need your strength. Somebody need your encouragement. So you are locked on. It was great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Looking forward to see you next week at 12 Atlantic Standard Time, 11 Eastern Standard Time. And God bless you and have a great rest of the day. Until next week, this has been Conversations with Dr. Els. God bless you. Have a good one.